Right, trying to clear some jobs in the workshop. We're on to skip bike. Skip bike? Are we skipping a bike? No, skip bike. So this was donated to the workshop by one of the athletes whose bike I fix. She rescued these. They were getting chucked in the skip, and she said, well, what are you doing with them? They're going in the skip. Well, I can't see good bikes going in the skip. I know somebody will take them, and there was two of them. So one of the other club members has taken the other bike, the better of the two bikes, and I've been left with the green skip bike. I'm laughing. Actually, it's not that bad. To be honest, it'll make a fine bike for somebody. If I can, I'm going to try and get it back on the road, zero cost. So anything I use for this bike has got to come out the parts bin, or I've got to fix it. This is going to be a bit of a challenge because there's a lot missing. Well, actually, there's not. Look, why don't we just show you? Are you ready for this? So we're going to stand back and use the zoom on this a lot. There she is in all her green glory. So it is what I call a Halfords special. So Falcon, I can't remember. I think they sold these at Halfords, but it's kind of, you know, when you go to a place that doesn't specialise in bikes and you just like Halfords, or, well, Halfords do kind of specialise. Well, you know what I'm saying. You're not going to a high-end shop. It's kind of your holiday, you know, trail ride family bike thing. It's a good colour. Well, George will like it anyway. It is a Supernova. Oh, classic name. And it's pretty much all there. I was taking the mickey just now, but it's an old school frame. I would guess it could be 20 years old. This it's a ladies' frame. It's steel. It's not aluminium. It's relatively heavy, but you know, we don't care about stuff like that. Oh dear, what's up with that? Oh, it's the rim, right? Okay, so the tyre's coming out of the rim. I might have overinflated that, or it wasn't sat in the rim properly. So we'll have to have a look at that. The tyres are quite perished. I don't know if I've got any more. I did have some spare tyres I took off another bike, but I think I sold them with the wheels. So I think we might be struggling for that one. We'll have to have a look. We might let it go with these tyres on. They are a little bit perished around the edge, but if I'm on a challenge to not replace the tyres, I think we're going to have to live with them. I'll take unless I can get some really cheap tyres for it. I think we're going to have to make do with them. Back ones are pretty similar. There's loads of tread on them, you see, so I can't see the point in binning them off. So we might have to live with them. I really thought we'd got some spare tyres kicking around. I've got some forks, but I don't think those forks will fit, to be honest, and I've kind of promised them to somebody else. No, they won't fit. Completely different style of fork. Won't go through that head tube there. So we're kind of stuck with them. Nothing down the back of there. No, I think I have. I think they have gone. There might be some tyres in there. Well, there's some tyres there. It's whether or not they fit. Yeah, there's a set of folding. I think they're the original Planet X smorgasbord, so they won't fit. These rims will be, I don't know. We might have a look at that. I think they will be too big, to be honest, for the frame. That wheel's cocked over as well. Right, so I've given the bike a quick M check. Actually, it's not too bad. There's no play in. Well, there is a little bit of play in the bottom bracket. There's a lot of play in the headset. There's no play in the wheel bearings on the front. There's a little bit of play in the wheel bearings on the back. It was hand built in England, so that obviously makes a massive difference. It's got the old Shimano SIS system, so that in itself dates it, that it's got to be about 20 years old. It doesn't look like it's had a lot of use. There is something funky going on with the chain. It's got a weird linking that I've not seen before, so I don't know if that's just where I can pop that apart or it even unscrews. So we might have to put a split link in that. I'm a bit concerned about that. So we might have to pop it in and get the chain off. The chain actually looks in fairly good nick. It's not rusted, even though it was left outside, so I think that will clean up. The gears look like they're okay. There's no signs of shark teething on it at all. It's a really basic crank set. You know, it's not even a Shimano, the crank, so yeah, you can see it's got a few issues. It's not, it needs something doing with it. We'll have a quick run through the gears. I've not done that yet. Right, so here's the big thing. The saddle post pin is missing. Come on, focus. That's better. Right, I couldn't cope with that because I was zoomed in. Right, the saddle post clamp pin is missing, so I've got to have a look for one of them. And there's no saddle and there's no bracket for the saddle, so I've got to find a saddle. Actually, there was a saddle. There was a saddle tie wrapped to the frame. It's there. It's not the original saddle, but actually it's I think it's a reasonable make saddle. So possibly it came with the bike or not. But it hasn't got the clamp that goes on there, so I've got to have a look in the parts bin to see if we've got a clamp in there. It's got all its reflectors, weirdly, so we might be able to see if we can recover them. The brakes look alright. They're I think they're the plastic ones. Yeah, they're the plastic ones. They generally clean up okay. The cables actually feel alright. I think the gear cable might have a little bit of an issue, but we won't know until we turn the gears over. It's the first time I've had it up in the air. I don't know anything about this bike. I don't know why it was going to go in the skip. There could be loads of stuff that's wrong with it that I would only find out when I've ridden it, or if I strip it down, so it's going to get a full tear down. Because, like I said, we are going to sell this, oh, it's come from James's in Rotherham. So it did actually come from a reasonable bike shop. Yeah, it's definitely steel. We'll see if we can find that. We'll see if we can sort that out. And then it looks like we've got all the parts. It's just a case of stripping it all down, cleaning all the bearings out, because these are raced, but they are not sealed race bearings. We'll check the wheels as to whether we need to do anything with the wheels. I need to have a look at what's going on with these tyres and work out whether or not I can get a cheap set of tyres on it. Because bearing in mind this bike is probably only going to be worth 30-40 quid when we sell it, tops. So I don't want to be spending 10 quid on tyres. Because it limits what we can get back for it. And you know, I might be raiding the parts bin for all sorts of stuff, and those parts do, you know, they're not direct costs, but they are coming out of other bikes potentially. But we'll see what we can do. It's got some funky thing going on. I don't think that's original, to be honest. I think that's been added afterwards, so we'll drop that back down to where it should be. And I think we're pretty much stuck with this. That's right. Well, that's loose for starters. So that will explain why this got a massive amount of headstock. I can undo that with my hand, so we'll get that. Yeah, I can undo the top nut as well. So yeah, that's why that's knackered. So we'll get that stripped out, get it all cleaned up. We'll get everything off. We'll get the bottom bracket out of there. We'll get that greased up, because that will be a non-sealed cage cup and cone arrangement in there. So we'll sort that one out. Pedals feel okay actually. They feel okay, nicely greased. So I don't think we need to do anything with them other than shoot a bit of lube down. They might not be the original pedals. What makes me say that is they've got Allen key bolts at the back, and normally you don't get the lower end pedals with Allen key bolts in the back, but we'll see. So we'll strip it all off, get it cleaned up, get it all put back together again, get all the brakes sorted out. We might have to replace some of these cables, looking at the state of them. But waffling now. Let's just check. Right, I'll try and keep out of your way. Right, let's do this one first, because this one's having a bit of a mare by the looks of it. Right. Right, so that one is not even indexed. You just ratchet it up and ratchet it down. Has it got a granny gear? Oh yeah. Oh, the days when life was so much easier. Ratchet it up, ratchet it down. Right, they're good. Let's see what's going off with the back. You know what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 speed. Is that what it says on the thing? Yep, 5 speed. Let's do that again. 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm quite impressed with that. Do you know what? I could probably get away with just shooting a bit of. Just have a look, see what it says. It's actually got a statement about the frame tubing down here. Conforms with BS. Oh, it's not. I thought it was going to tell me what the steel was. The stickers are in a fairly bad state, to be honest. So I did kind of have an idea that I might paint it, but I'm not entirely sure that's worth it. I might have a look, see if I can get some new stickers, but I don't think it needs it, to be honest. If I just clean it up, it is what it is. It's an older bike, but that, on the face of it, that looks like we're going to have a fairly easy ride with this. So let's start tearing it down, and then we'll put it back together again, just for the fun of it. Right, let's get started. Right, first job, let's get those wheels off. I'll need some boxes to put all this stuff in, rather than just the metal ones. Let's get some, that's going to be 15, isn't it? Possibly. Yep. No. This is what. No. Can't remember the last time I undid a bolt on a wheel. Right, these are the old style brakes. So if you squeeze them together, you should be able to drop that out the hook, and then the wheel comes out. So we'll start a pile over there. Let's just decore this as well and get that wheel out. Oh, I've lost my core again. You know that thing, every time I say it needs to go back in the pot. Oh, there it is. It's fallen. It's actually fallen out of the pot. So let's get these. Let's get the tyres off, and we'll decide what we're going to do with the tyres. It might be just stick some cheap rubber on. If I can get if I can get a pair of tyres for a tenner, I'll stick a set of tyres on it. Right, let's get these off. Pull that down there. What's up with me? I normally get these off. They're not very. They're not a very dished rim, are they? Need to buy one of them tyre spinner things that everybody keeps going on about, but I don't like using tyre levers. realised you probably can't see what I'm doing down there. You're just hearing all this huffing and grunting. The rubber actually feels okay, and it's only when they're pumped up full that you can see the Vuelta Italy. Italian tyres. Maybe I'm doing this bike a disservice. So again, it's like the what I was saying about the mountain bike I've just done the handlebars on. That technology is moving on. That, you know, something like this 30 years ago would have been, you know, the absolute bee's knees for a mountain bike. But okay, maybe not the weight. It actually looks all right. There's a little bit of surface cracking, but the actual carcass itself on the inside's okay. But unfortunately, if you're asking some money for a bike and people expect everything, it's got the reflectors on the wheels, so that's good. You know, if we're selling these, I do like to make sure that they've got everything on there that they should have. Not sure why that's not level though. We might have to have a play with that. The rims look good. Just give it a quick check. No, they feel fine. A little bit of graunch in the going on in the cup and ball. We might have to have a. It's running smooth enough and it's straight. I'm not getting any things. I did notice that the rim bead is slightly lopsided and it's split there as well. Right, chuck that over there. Let's get the back wheel off now. Put my spanner down. Should be a bit easier than the other one. Oh, flipping heck. I'm not sure who did these up. Oh. That one came off slightly easier. Same thing again, pinch them. Pull that through, it quick releases them. Yeah, that's possibly of the style I might be able to. I think we've got a similar issue we had with the other one, that these might not come off. And my other toolkit's in the house as well, so I don't have an option to pop these off. No. We might have a go at getting that off, but I'm more than inclined to just leave that. I think if we shoot a bit of lube down the back of that, it'll probably be alright. Yeah, actually it's running pretty well, so I won't worry too much about that. What's the bearings like? Oh, they're really, oh no, they are. Yeah, there's a bit of play in them. So I think we're going to have a look at the bearings for both of these. See what the crack is. Let's just pop this one out as well. Sorry, I've been doing that off camera again, haven't I? I'll tell you what I was looking at. So, I don't know if you can see that. Are you even focused on me? I need to have the thing around so I can see what I'm doing. Oh yeah, a quick focus. So there's quite a bit of slop in that one. So that one was a little bit tight and graunchy. This one's actually got quite a bit of slop in it. So but it seems to be running fairly smooth. Oh, it's undone as well. So actually feels okay. Just wants locking off. So we'll get it. We'll squirt a bit of grease in and then we'll see where we go with it. Yeah, you can feel there's a bit of muck working its way around in the bearings as well, so we'll get them cleaned off. What I was looking at as well was this. It spins okay, but it's it sounds a little bit rough, so we might just shoot a bit of oil in there. Give that a bit of help. I can see you're running out of battery as well, so we'll stick another battery in and I'll get the tyre off. Right, so my challenge now is how quickly can we strip this down. So let's hang these up somewhere so they don't get knackered on the floor. Same with the tyres. I'll leave the wheels there. Then we can have a quick look at them. I'll just pop these off. These are going to play nicely and come off. Yeah, they're going to play nicely. So you shouldn't need, I know I did it on the last one, but that's because I was being pathetic. So I've not used the tyre lever, all I've done is just manipulated it round so I get a bit of slack enough to just chuck the bead over. There you go, no tyre lever. No knuckles were injured in the making of that bit of the video. Stay up there, and to get it off altogether, same thing again, just manipulate a bit of it, the bead over, and out it comes. Let's just have a quick look now, just check that. There you go, no buckles. Same with this one though. The rim tape is a bit uneven, popping from one side to the other. Just chuck that in there. Just have a quick look at who was pinging me. Right, 10 minutes we've got. So let's see if we can get this stripped down in 10 minutes. That's going to be a bit of a challenge. Right, what have we got? We've got a 10mm there, except it won't be a 10mm, it'll be an 8mm, and it won't be an 8mm, it'll be a 9mm, because we've already had, we've already been through that pain with the other one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, no, not that one. Stop rushing. Right. That's it, that's got that off. Nope. Just going to leave the chain for the moment until I work out what I'm going to do with it, whether I'm going to leave it on and clean it or try and get it off. So I'll just pop it off the jockey wheel. We've done this before. On this one you can get away with it, so I'll just pop the jockey wheel out and the chain will come out and it gets the derailleur off the frame. No sign of anything bent here. So this is why, remember, just again, this is why I'm stripping it down, is so that I can make sure that I have checked everything, because I haven't ridden the bike and I don't know its history, and I've just let the centre fall out of that, and it's all going to go Pete Tong fairly quickly. I'll just drop the bolt now. Just want to make sure there's no direction on this. If there is, it would say, otherwise you put the writing to the outside, and if it's got the writing on both sides it means they're both the same, which I think it is on the bottom one. Some of them did have a slightly different top. Yeah, it's not even it's just a normal bolt that. Nowadays it's a shouldered bolt in these. So that's that back together. that might have been the original saddle, even though it was red at the back, or they've swapped the saddles over and the one that was on this is now on the other bike. So they were the same bike, but anyway, let's get that off. I think I've got something in here for that. Not going to leave this on. I think they're a bit of a pain up the arse for people. It's not really enough room to get a bottle in there anyway. It hasn't got a bottle with it, so most people would probably okay. I did have a really good thread for taking stators off of motorbikes. Let's just have a quick look down here in the big screw boxes. See if that'll do it. We're not a million miles off, it's the next size up from that. Which of course I don't have in there. Look in here. No, I don't think that's going to be in there. Snookered. Right, I'm going to have to come back and have a look at that. I suspect my tea's calling. Can't see anything in there that's any bigger. Not collected one in here, have I? I'm in the junk tools drawer. Right, let me have a look for some. Some air behind it anyway, and it just loosens it off, and then when you pull it, you push it, there we go. Move out the way so I don't punch myself in the face. There we go. Yeah, so if you can loosen the first bit of rubber, oops, you can't see any of this. If you yeah, I was just taking the grip off and I was doing it without that, so if you just loosen the first bit of rubber there and get it loose and then just pull it, that kind of bulges up and lifts up the rest of it, and it kind of causes a bit of a chain reaction, it all follows it off. So there's that. Get that off as well. Now I couldn't get these undone earlier when I tried. Oh, there we go. It's decided it wants to play now. Oh, that's because somebody had rammed it round. Okay. Well, that wasn't supposed to be like that. So that's got a flat spot that sits in a flat hole. And somebody rammed it round and it was actually on its threads, so I'll be amazed if that works, because that's supposed to wind out so that goes up. Well, that's working again now. I've freed it all off. Right, that's okay. Question is, can we get it out of here? These brakes are pretty naff, to be honest. There we go. But they work, they're not loose, they're not broken, so they can stay. I've got some metal ones, but I don't think I've got a full set, both the same anymore. I think I've used them. I've just got odd individuals now, one-offs. Maybe the reason is because of the BMXs. Not even sure the BMXs have got identical ones on. Right, you get to see it all over again now. So, shift the, oops. Shifty the brake lever out of the way, shifty that out of the way. There's a little kind of disc there that just stops the grip shift catching against the grip shift rubber. If you look, all I'm doing is I'm just forcing this round so it just ridges the rubber up. So I'm just wiggling it down, so it's probably about a third of the way down, and then if I just suggest it now, it just goes, it bunches up, and then there it comes off. There we go. And another one off. Right. The main aim for all this was to get this apart, because this was in a mess. I might swap the stem out as well. I'm going to have a look, see if I've got another stem, because this stem's a bit of a pain as well. I don't believe it was the original stem. I think somebody's added that. So we'll go back to something that looks like it should do. Oh yeah. They're a 6, aren't they? We've got a 6 in here? No. We've got a 4 and a 5, we haven't got a 6. There's the 6. So these are adjustable. There's a bracket there, and you undo that there, and that plate comes out the way, and actually that's loose. So that wasn't good. That's another reason why I don't like these. I think it's an area to fail. I understand people wanting to put them on the bike, but I think it's just an accident waiting to happen. Right, bear with me. Right, so I've slackened that off, and you can see there's that pops out now, and now I can move that up and down and fasten it back up again. And I think that's just too much of a... If that went while you were riding along and came undone, you'd end up biting the crossbar. And that was loose as well, so that's obviously jiggled itself loose. Tighten that back up. Right. Now this will be a split shaft or a chocked olive. There we go. Yes. So that sometimes they have a split in, and you draw a piece of metal up inside that splits the shaft to them, but that's on older bikes. Well, you have these that's kind of just a split wedge olive. I think they used to call it an olive. So So just get the last of the bits up there. That looks like a 10. And you see the front one's on as well, and that's got the same problem. It's bent off to one side, so it needs a bit of. It might be broken actually. Looking at it, yeah. I might have to dig another one of them out the parts bucket. We'll see if we can glue it in place. Sorry, I'm stood in front of you. It's not really good film work, is it? This one's got 2 olives on. Cup washers. Olives in the brain. Yeah, so it's got that piece should sit in there, but it does look like it's the plastic's got pulled out of it, so it won't sit in there. Even if I tighten that up, it's not going to go. Oh, actually, make me a liar. It has. The bolts pulled it back round again. Right, so let's just get that out of the way. Right, so we've got enough off now to clean the frame, decide what we're going to do with that bottom bracket, but mainly to get this out. So I need another big cup for that one. Right, now this could be loose bearings, so that's why I've put that there, so I can just drop these nuts in. Right, okay. Now I would have expected that to have a tooth in it. Was that the one below? That's the long stick for taking these off. Oh, that's helpful. So that's aluminium. The washer underneath isn't. Right, so hopefully this is raced and it's not loose ball. See, these should have a knurling on, and there's a clue there that they should be finger tight, and then you lock them down using the lock nut. But this was more than finger tight; it was loose. Right, it is raced, so that's okay. We can just drop this down and hope that the race hasn't broken. Right. That's the race. It doesn't look that bad. It looks a bit rusty, but there's still quite a lot of grease on there. So I'm reasonably hopeful that we'll have a positive outcome with that. Positive outcome. We'll fix it. Right, that looks a little worse. It's not rusty though, but there's a lot of grime on there. The race itself looks good. Same in there. That feels good. That looks okay. So they just want cleaning out, degreasing. The forks want cleaning off. You can see it's been loose and somebody's just been chucking oil in. It's because obviously it's not felt right and the oil's been pouring down there. So I think if we get those cleaned up, the grease isn't too bad actually. Right, I think that's about as far as we can go until I decide what I'm going to do with that crank and whether we take it off or not. Right, we'll have a quick scan of where we are and the big supply of parts in we've got. And it's all in there. Right, we had a bit of a breakthrough. We had a 12mm thread on the slide hammer kit that I've got. So I dropped a cap's head bolt into there so it wouldn't nail the threads up, though it just still did manage to chew it in a little bit. And put that on and banged it and wanged it and banged it and wanged it, and eventually it's just popped off. So I'm going to call that a bit of a result. And what I did find, I've just had a look in the parts bin, and I have got a do you remember the frame that we cut up, that was cut up and we salvaged it? I kept the crank arm off that. So I have got another crank arm that came off that I can reuse. I do need to check it and clean it up, but I think that's usable. I was going to try and use this on, if you remember the mountain bike that came in that had completely mullered it, and I was going to try and use this on that, but this is only a 5-speed, and the chain, it was too fat for the chain, so that's why we couldn't use it on that one. But I'm glad I didn't throw it out, because it's come off that other one, so we'll make good use of that. And I think I've got a set of bolts that did come off the other bike as well, kicking around somewhere. So it looks like I've got everything I need to put that back together. In fact, I might just do a quick dry fit now. If you want to see the kit that this has just come out of. So it's actually a bearing extractor kit. So you put those into a blind bearing, you drive that in, and the little hands open up and grab the inside of a bearing, and then you use the slide hammer to pull it out. So if I have a dig around in here, I think I've already chucked one of the bolts in, so hopefully we've not screwed up the threads too much. No, they feel fine. And in theory, if I grab that out of the parts bin, that should fit, hopefully. That looks okay. So if we can get the crank arm off the other side, that's going to look a massive... The only thing we've got to be careful of is that this is quite a small framed bike, so it's just, has it got the same... That looks okay. If anything, it's possibly 2mm longer. Does it say how long that one is? Can't read it. Could be 170. 175. So this could be a 172. I think it has got a slightly larger chain ring, but I'm not going to worry about that, because generally most of the people that ride these bikes are generally getting into it, and I think they usually are geared a bit too high on the outer ring. The inner rings will probably be similar size, no, maybe a little bit smaller, but I think we'll be okay with that. So we'll go with that one. Wonder if I can reuse the outer ring. Probably not. But this is another one of those ones that's welded together and you can't get the parts off it. But it's plastic coated, and that whole mechanism there, that's horrible to get out. So in case you don't know, this is what was flummoxing me. I've never come across one of them before. This is a standard. So this is the standard tool you'd use. It's set up the wrong way round at the moment, but this bit here threads on a very fine thread, which is also no good, but that threads into there, and you screw that all the way in, and then you drive that in until it hits the thing, put a bit of tension on it, whack it with a hammer, put a bit of tension on it, whack it with a hammer, and eventually it drives that off the end of the tapered shaft. So just so you know, that's how they should be. Right, so we'll have a bash at getting the other side off now. Well, that escalated quickly. There's a plastic sheathing in here which I couldn't get out because the bolt that went through for the retaining wires was pinning it in place, so I could only pull it half the way out, and that's why I couldn't get the ball race out. So I've got to find the ball I dropped to put back in the race and straighten the race up, or go and grab one of the spare races I've got. So it's kind of a bit of a strange arrangement. That's kind of a dust seal. It stops any muck and water that gets flushed down the frame or coming up there actually getting into the bearings. I also ended up getting the chain off. You know, I said I thought that looked like a split link or something. Actually, it was a... I've only ever seen them once before, and I didn't recognise it. It's actually a sprung link. So if you use one of the modern things to pop them apart, if you put it on the other way, the link itself actually bends, and the two end bits of the link actually pop out of the way, and you can take the cover of the link off. They're quite clever. I'd completely forgotten about them until I started poking at it, and then thought, I better know what that is. And let's see if I can just spot that ball bearing, or we're going to have to start passing a magnet over this lot. I don't think we're going to spot the ball bearing. The chances are pretty slim. And in the meantime, all this, the tool chest fell over as well, so there's a nice smattering of tools down here too, just to add to the fun games. I reckon there must be a good hour's worth of video of me just staring at the floor in the workshop looking for something I've dropped, because this floor is awful. I can't wait to get into the new workshop, because it's got a lovely floor now, and that'll be painted a colour that ball bearings show up on. And then when we get this done as well, this will be, because I'll still be doing some bike work in here, but mainly only the clean stuff. What we're doing with this, I probably wouldn't be doing this in here. So normally they fall down these gaps, and they always fall down them gaps. The two bounces and the down. A few washers there I've probably lost in the past. Probably somewhere over there that have ended up over here. Now, can't see that. I think we're going to have to go and dig the other ball races out and use one of those. I think they're a fairly standard size. I think even the BMX used those size of balls. So we'll have a play with that. Anyway, the reason I stripped the frame off is because I'm going to try and get. I'm going to try and stick this in the vise to undo it, just to clean it up now. I do notice we've still got a couple of balls floating around in there, so I don't want to lose them. So we'll just try and coax them into landing on my fingers and not... That was a bit of a stupid thing to do, shoving my fingers in there. I could have got them stuck then. Yeah, they do like a fairly standard size. The frame hooked in my trousers. Drop them in there. Right, just to show you what the plan was with this. It may or may not work. I may or may not need to do it now. So I think this is a... So I have to do it as if I'm doing it up. First time. Ooh, there he goes. No heat, no WD-40. Sometimes you just can't beat a vise. See, this is why they always get broken. I've ordered another one, so no doubt that'll get broken. First outing. Right, let's see if I can use a spanner to get this off now. I was tempted to respray the bike, but actually it's only the stickers that are knackered. The paintwork actually looks remarkably good. And I'm spending way more time on this than I ought to be honest. I've got better... Yeah, see, I've just done that up now, haven't I? Because I've not been paying attention. Not too bad that. We'll put a bit of molly slip on there so it doesn't cause us problems in the future. But that is that. One frame ready to be cleaned and reassembled. Right, let's just assemble some parts now and I'll bring you back. It's quite wiped down. Put this back in. Right, looks good. So the shorter side wants to go through to the other side where the crank arm was. And we'll put a bit of lube on here as well, just to be on the safe side. And the same on there. Just check I've still got it the right way round. Yep, that's the short side. Yes, they seem okay. I'd clean the bearings out when I was putting the balls back in, so should be okay. There shouldn't be any grit in there. Same again, we're just going to pack this in and get it to sit inside. They are actually easier to get it all in the cage on these than they are on a wheel bearing. Right, so that's going to sit there, and we'll go and find the cup. Now, one thing I do need to do is I do need to slacken this off. Put that in there and that should be able to get a socket on that. Look at that, got it first time. What I can't do is always remember what the sockets is and not everything on the floor. Actually, it doesn't matter which way I turn it. So I'll hang it that way a bit and then half the WD-40 as well, just for good measure. How did I manage to do that with unlocking? And how do I manage to lose a socket that big? Where the piggy hell's that gone? It's beyond me. Oh, it's here. No idea he made it through that far. Right, it looks locked on this time. Still. They're such fine threads, it doesn't take much to cause them to snag up, which is why you really do need to molly slip them, because if you get any kind of interference rust, they're just an absolute nightmare to get off. I'll try and get it all the way off the thread now. Actually, I don't need to get it much past there, but it's through the thread now. You see all the crap that I've drawn out of the thread. Doesn't look like somebody's been braying at that with an hammer. Don't know. Good. Finally, that was a bit of a battle. That's running nice and smooth now. Quite pleased with that. I ended up getting the belt sander on it and taking it down. It literally is millimetres. Well, it's not even a millimetre. I bet there's less than half a mil between that. But it's in. There's no play. It's free moving. I'm going to chalk that up as a victory. Everything looks good. I did wonder at first whether I got them the wrong way out, but I couldn't possibly have, because there's you can see there's very little clearance on that other side over there anyway. And the biggest tell is the gap on these is about the same. It's about finger width on both, so I can just get my finger behind that, and I can just get my finger behind that. Maybe that one's a bit slightly tighter, so I think we'll leave it at that. Right, I'm going to cut the film in here for this one. We'll get back on this. I think this is either part 1, it's going to be a really long part 1, or we've already done part 2, and this is part 2. So I've got to clean up the forks. Let's get you out. I've got to clean up the forks, get those bearings reinstated and cleaned up. The frame does look a lot better than it did, so I'm hoping the forks come up as well. Then we've got to sort through this lot with what we're keeping. I did have a quick rummage in the scraps bin, and I've managed to come up with a proper seat. Don't know if you can see that. Is it focused? Come on, focus, focus, focus on my fingers. No, that's rubbish focus. Come on. You can see it's got a little indent there. That sits in a little keyway on the back of the saddle. I think I may have also found the saddle mechanism that was missing as well. I don't know if I've chucked it in here or whether it's on the side somewhere. Because if you remember, all we got was that. I've actually found another one of these in the parts bin, so we can chuck that on. So we're doing okay at the moment. I thought I chucked it in here, but possibly I haven't, and possibly it's in the it's over here somewhere in the pile. I can't see it. It'll turn up. I'm sure it will. Actually, I might have even shoved it in the seat. No, I shoved it in the seat. There you go. So I've already put it in there. So I'm not quite sure if I've got that the right way round though. You'll have to shout at me. I can't remember. It's that long since I put one of these on. I don't think it matters actually, because we used to flip them to get extra distance anyway. It's just I seem to remember the seat. I think it was flipping round. Pretty sure it was flipping round. I don't think this seat was the original seat for the bike either, because this is red. It's a Vuelta, but I think this might have been swapped for the one on the other bike. So I suspect they've got a green one on a red bike, and they did that probably because that was missing. So, or they lost that when they were swapping them over. But anywho, we need to see if we can do something about the colour on that. Either turn that black, or take it off. You might not actually need it. Sometimes they're just modesty covers. Anyway, right. So we're going to cut it there. I've had kind of a minor victory tonight. We've reconditioned a crankset on there. We've got the bottom bracket sorted out. We've stripped it all down. We've got a ton of bits. I've got to sort through all this lot. Some of this is some of the junk out the garage that needs sorting out. The wheels still need cleaning. I've got to check the bearings on one of these. I think we've got play on the... I don't know, there's the back wheel or the front wheel. One of them, they're both pretty graunchy, but I just feel a loose spoke there. No, it's that. I think they just need a clean up. That'll be fine. The freewheel's good. I was going to look at taking that off, but I decided not to. Now we've just got to decide whether we're going to swap the tyres out, but I think we probably will have to. Even though I said it's a no parts bike, I think I'm going to have to concede on that one. We got the chain off, so we can clean the chain up. The chain looks great. So hopefully we'll get it all back together on the next one, and all finished and done, and I can get shot of it. Right, if you want one of these, by the way, it will be coming available. Just